Hey friends! Welcome to Spirit Club, a podcast and community that is all about doing the inner work to live an aligned and, dare I say, happy life. I'm your host, spiritual guide and intuitive, Angell Kelly, and I'm here to share my teachings along with messages passed on to me from higher consciousness. I've also got incredible guests in store to help you go down all those spiritual rabbit holes. So let's go! Welcome to the club! Thank you for tuning in to meet today's guest and learn from her personal path and this amazing badass medicine that she has created. Today we have Nikki Norenberg, a professional dancer turned creator and embodiment teacher, and she has recently, she's created some medicine that we're going to certainly talk about today, but it's really a new way of healing, feeling, moving through things, expanding into things. It's very exciting. So welcome, Nikki.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me.
Yay. Okay, so I need to know your sun, moon, and rising because I'm that girl. Please share with me.
Yes, I am a Pisces sun, Leo rising, and Aquarius moon.
Okay, Aquarius moon. I'm like, have I even met an Aquarius moon before? Huh. What's that like? I mean, the Leo rising is so like obvious in your energy, Pisces, sun. I feel that. Tell me about the Aquarius moon. How do you resonate?
You know, it's been an interesting one for me because I do feel like such a rich emotional landscape with my Pisces sun. And so Aquarius has a little bit more of a like neutrality to it. But what I really deeply connect into from like the Aquarius side of things is like, I'm like allergic to doing things like other people or like being the same. So I'm always like, oh, if somebody likes this, I must like something else. So, yeah. And it's interesting because my husband is also an Aquarius moon. So I feel like there's a lot of synchronicity amongst our need to stand out and be different, which is probably a good and a bad thing in some capacity. But it's a really interesting big three because they all have drastically different energies that I feel like in a lot of ways are supportive, but I think the Aquarius and Pisces contrast just a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Aquarius and Pisces are both having you live like out of the box, out of the norm.
Totally. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And your Leo rising, I feel like, is like getting to shine. So I'm very happy for your Leo rising.
Thanks.
Okay, so just one starter question. This podcast, Spirit Club, we're all about doing the inner spiritual work to live a life that we're happy with and that aligns. And so I know it's going deep real quick, but I would love if you could share with us just what like spiritual work you are in right now. Like what is present and alive for you right now?
Yeah, honestly, what's extremely present for me is the duality between feeling an urgency to expand my mission and reach more people, while also simultaneously feeling a deep desire to slow down, which is so hilarious about the card you pulled, because I've also been receiving so much divine guidance around slowing down, and it feels really contrasty. I'm like, but I need to move forward. There are doors opening. There is momentum. There is a need and a yearning for this work that I'm putting out into the world. And I know that there is a precious time that is now to make it happen. Right. While deep down also feeling like, but hey, don't burn out, this mission is not of sporadic energy. And as an MG, I have to really temper the energy that shows up in me because I get really inspired. Like I have no problem making things happen. If I know that I'm meant to do something, I like just do it. And that is a blessing and a curse because sometimes I think I can move quickly on an energy and an idea before I let it actually like land. Yeah. And so I'm just really tempering with this dynamic of these two things existing at the same time and not saying only one can exist. They can exist together. It's just asking me to build momentum in a new way that I really believe is learning to work with myself on a deeper level. It's like not the surface level, oh, I follow my energy, I follow my heart. It's now like, okay, and how do we actually make that happen from a sustainable place? Because
Mm.
I have definitely reached edges of energetic burnout many times. I get very connected, very passionate, very like go, 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 go. But this is a long game mission that, I mean, all of us are on a long game mission, but like I'm really stepping into the unfolding of it right now.
Mm.
And it needs to last. I need to last. I am the
Right.
energetic vessel. I can't burn the flame at both ends. So
Right.
that's the deep work that I'm in. That's my messy middle right now.
Mm. It's so good. Like as you're talking about it, I'm like, can you tell us how? Like once you, I mean, you're in the middle of it, but it's like, it's really, because the call to slow down, but you are creating, you still have to show up in the world. A lot of the time when we're in our messy middle, we're also like in our work still. We still need to show up to our work. And I think learning that and sharing your process around it will be really healing for a lot of people because it's like we feel like we have to do one or the other. We have to have a season of pushing or a season of pulling back.
Hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, and just like from what I've been sensing within myself, it's like your soul can already know the direction. It has the clear like place, but your body has to catch up to the capacity expansion.
Mm.
Your physical body, it doesn't just like blast open. That's what burnout is, right? And so it's
Mm-hmm.
allowing your body to slowly hold a little bit more and like get used to that
Mm.
and sink into that
Right.
and not go too far, but also not hang back and sit on your hands. So I feel
Mm-hmm.
like, even yesterday, I did a small bit of work and then I like needed a brain break. And so I went and I took a hike with my family and I came back and I was going to go back to like thinking and overwhelming because I was in an overwhelming thought process and my body just like I needed to take a nap. I had hit my edge. My body's like, we're done.
Nope.
This is our
Yeah.
edge today. We're going to rest, recuperate. And then today I was able to come back to the same project with an entirely different energy because
Mm-hmm.
I respected the edge that I found and I said, "Okay,
Mm-hmm.
all right, girl, we got to refill that
Mm-hmm.
bucket so that we can come back to it and expand from a full place, not an empty place." So, I'm
Mm-hmm.
currently just like massaging what that actually visceral like feels
Looks
like
like
to
in the world.
let your body catch up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Thank you for sharing. And I'm curious, as someone who works with this vessel, the body, like the body is like your foundation. Um, I think we need to give listeners and me a little bit of background about how that came to be. So I know you're a professional dancer. You were and are a
Mhm.
professional dancer. And now you've come to this work. Can you give us a little insight of that path?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I really feel like every breadcrumb has been so perfectly placed. Like you'll hear my story and you'll be like, duh, that's why she's doing what she's doing. But I pretty much came out of the womb dancing. Like I was a natural born dancer, performer, expresser of the body. I also had a very big, bright, loud energy. And so I felt like there was a precious era of my childhood where I was just so in my body. I was so me. Like I even see
Mm,
videos looking back and I'm like, I was dancing. I didn't care if people were paying attention or laughing like at me or like if I was teaching, like I would try to
amazing.
teach people dance. Like it was just my soul's way of being like, this is me, world. Like, what do you think? Like
Mm-hmm,
it feels
mm-hmm,
so good. And then, as every, child experiences, the moment that you attach it to like achievement or outcome, it just shifts. It doesn't feel as free. It feels a little bit more measured. And so dance just became something that was like a little bit more serious, a little bit more I had a lot of expectations around it and for myself, and it was like full blown identity. And if I wasn't succeeding in it, then I was like not doing well mentally or emotionally. And then I decided to take dance to LA and try the professional gig. And it just sucked every ounce of love that I had for the craft out of my body. It was so in the opposite direction, like ultimate competition, ultimate self-doubt,
Yeah.
so much toxicity in the industry, and just like they have a way. I feel like the dance industry, unfortunately, there is a lot of great things that the dance industry has, but they also feel that speaking down to people and almost like shaming them into changing and evolving is a good thing instead of like empowering people into their evolution. And so I just felt like it just beat me down in so many ways. And
And
so I
I'm
had this like
curious,
really, yeah.
sorry to stop you there, but I'm just curious, before LA, just because with my background in dance, I really only saw, for the most part, a really unhealthy way of learning, being in our bodies, all these sorts of things, competing. It was very, very unhealthy. And I'm
Yeah.
curious, where you grew up and where you learned to dance, was it the same thing that you saw in LA, but LA was just amplified, or did you happen to have one of those really special dance studios? There are few and far between of them.
Yeah, I had a really special relationship with my dance teacher. So I didn't have the toxicity in growing up per
Okay.
se. So I feel very lucky with that, which is why I think LA stung so hard.
Right.
Is that I felt like, wait, this is like such a precious vessel that we get to like learn and develop through. And then I just was greeted with a lot of the politics and the bullshit that comes along with doing something for a living, right?
Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
so it changed once I moved to LA, which, like I said, I think is why it was such a big deal for me. And so once I broke up with dance, I'll say, then I like pivoted into yoga, where it was like an inclusive space. It was a wellness space. It was
Mm-hmm.
slow. It was
Mm-hmm.
controlled. It was like my brain could relax, my body could soften, and
Honor
I
your
became
limits, listen to your body,
literally,
like a very
yeah,
different, yeah.
yeah, exactly, such a different mentality. And so I sunk into like my self-discovery, self-development era, which was all about learning who I am without dance, honestly. And it was such a necessity because there were so many gifts that I did not even give airtime to because I was so focused on dance. And so I got to learn more about my gifts and my abilities to support people. I was a self-discovery coach for 5 years, helping people, open their gifts and use them for purposeful work. And I did intuitive work for a long time. And so it was just this deep unraveling of like, what else? Who am I? And it was so beautiful. But there came a point in that work and in just my movement journey in general where I was like, but something still doesn't feel fully like clicked into place within me. Like I feel like I'm like one or two clicks away, but I'm not quite clicked into the
Mm.
alignment that I know I'm here to be. And that's when I started just ideating about like what would movement feel like? What is it that I loved so much about dance that I miss? And it was like the pocket, and as somebody who's danced before, it's like the pocket when you're on stage or rehearsing where you are not thinking about the choreography
Mm.
anymore and your body is like just this like levitating expression of fullness. And it's
And your
just like
heart is exploding. It feels so good. Yeah.
exploding. Yeah, and it's like you can be happy, you can be sad, but it's this
Mm.
emotive expression that cannot be felt in any other movement
Mm.
form than dance, because dance is this free-flowing, expressive, human uh, sense of self. And so that's where really the whole embodied journey began, was this rewriting why I love dance. What is it that I miss? And realizing It's not just dancers that need this. The whole freaking world needs this. Like I remember wishing my friends who played like soccer could understand and feel like what it feels like to be in that like cathartic expressed state. And I'm like, I got to create that. Like that has to be something that I do because the world needs this.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so you dropped the word what we want to talk about, which is embodied. Can you tell folks what embodied is? What is it, this medicine that you've created?
Yeah, so it's a mat-based class, and I call it a work-in. So the focus is not sculpting, working out, although it's a full body experience, definitely. It's more about the work-in. So it's contemporary dance-inspired movement that is really fluid and really open, but in an effort to drop people out of their heads and connect into their bodies. It's like a true like coming home to self in physical form because we go through a lot of layers of the self in the journey and let them all sit at the same table. You're going to cry, you're going to shake your ass, you're going to celebrate, full spectrum.
How, like, did embodiment, did embodied just drop in one day? Like, how did the creation get created?
Yeah. So what's really funny is, of course, my mind thought of this idea initially. And I was like, perfect. I'm going to just put all of the pieces together, the things that I already know. And I crafted a class. And I was like, screw it. I'm going to just host. I'm going to just try a little pop-up class at this FP Movement studio. Moving too fast. Okay. And it was a flop. It felt awkward. I could sense the room was off. And I was just like, okay, pump the brakes. It's not ready yet. And it's not going to be ready through my mind. So I put it to sleep, kept doing my work. And then finally, I took this inspiration trip to New York City where I was like, I just want to be in my body in a multitude of different ways the entire time that I'm there. And so I was taking like all these different classes. I was by myself and I was just like, I just know that I need to be here and I need to be guided through my own experience to feel what I need to feel. It was like that, it was that click I was craving, right? And so after I had taken a movement class, it was a dance-based class. I remember I was like walking through Chinatown and I was listening to Mumford and Sons and it was like a big magic style download dropped into my body. And it was like, I saw the entire class. It just like flashed before my eyes and I could like feel every part of me turn on. And I raced back to my hotel and I like wrote down the structure of what I saw. And that is like pretty much exactly what the class still is today. And what's so powerful about that is, you know, even as we're talking about this fast and slow, my head, my mind, my soul was ahead of what my body was able to receive and hold. And so I finally allowed myself the space and the openness to be an open vessel to receive what my soul actually placed in my heart. And so it felt like this really kind of cosmic alignment because it was like, it was here and it was here. And then it just made sense when it was actually landing in my body.
It's like it was here and you were trying to make it make sense. And then when your body got to receive it, then they like came together.
For sure.
And I'm curious, so I'm sure you've created many things, but this in particular being like, there is a feeling of my life's work in this. You know, it's like, it is the click into place. And I recently reread Big Magic, so I feel like I need to ask this question. Leading up to the creation coming to you in mind and body, were there like clues in your field that you knew that like you wanted to create something or a creation wanted to connect with you?
You know, I think that I just started witnessing this desire to add movement to all of my like events and workshops. And at the time I was teaching yoga, and like people kind of more so knew me as like a yoga instructor. But then I was like, this does not feel like me.
You're
Like
like,
this
I'm an
does not
Aquarius. I
feel
can't just do a yoga class.
exactly. So I just felt like, oh man. And as I was deepening my work with intuitive stuff, I was like, we got to shake up the vessel. We got to like open it. And so I just started bringing like some of these more repetitive dance, like, uh, what is it called? What am I trying to say? Movement patterns together. I just was like, I'm going to throw on this like repetitive movement pattern and I'm just going to see what it feels like. And it just felt really good. And so it was just this slow unfolding. And then I even feel like I was trying to find classes for myself to take to fill the need that my heart was craving. And I just like couldn't find it. Like there are a lot of things in a similar adjacent category of embodied that are out there already, but none of them actually felt like what I wanted to feel. I feel like they all had more of a fitness flair. And I was like, that's not the point. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to work out. And I think that that's something that I always felt as a dancer is I was like, what a gift that I'm actually receiving a full body, like movement experience for my physical well-being, but that's not why I'm doing it. I'm
No,
doing
never
it
even
because I
thought of
love
it.
how
Yeah.
it feels.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's like my intention is I'm like, I never want to talk about embodied as a workout
Yeah.
because it's something that you come to feel.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk about this then. How did people receive it? Like, there's one thing about you who's created it, who's had an experience with their body and dance their whole lives. How was it for people taking this class for the first time?
A lot of tears. Most people that come for the first time cry, I would
Oh, that
say.
gives me
Um,
goosebumps. Okay. Whew.
Yeah, it's a big like I just think it's a big wake up call for people when they're in an environment where they feel safe to express themselves without pressure to follow along perfectly to what I'm sharing, like teaching, to look a certain way, to rewrite the narrative of how they connect with dance or movement in a room, and to feel like totally held in that space. And then not to mention to like be able to kind of bring yourself to these somatic edges, I guess, if you will, where your body, like you're not thinking about, oh, am I feeling a certain way? Your body is showing you this aliveness, this clearing, this clarity that you can't help but hear behind the noise when you're in it because you're so physically in your body that the mind melts away and you're met with truth. And so when people experience that, it's kind of like emotion is usually the first thing that comes through. And I think that that's such a beautiful gift that people feel safe to just emote in the
Oh,
space that I create. So
wonderful gift. Um, and you know, okay, I wonder if you went through this. So I am embarrassed to say that I have completely separated my body from my spiritual practices. I'll say, and I never really thought, I didn't think about it. You know, I've had a meditation practice for a long time, do a lot of healings, whatever, journaling, all this sort of thing. And when I sat down to do Embodied, I was like, almost like, oh my gosh, duh. How come I haven't used my body at all? It was like almost embarrassing. You know, I was like, and it was just so interesting that like, it's all right here. And I'm just like floating up in my crown all the time. I'm just up here, you know? So I'm curious if you went through this because I haven't danced since COVID. And actually, my dance experience was never spiritual. It was very, no, I don't want to say it was never spiritual. Obviously, I had moments, I had times that I clung to where like my heart felt, where I felt expressed, where I felt like I could be seen. but most of my dance history was like very painful, militant, full of like placing my value in all the wrong places, comparison, yada, yada, yada. So I'm curious, did you go through a period between when you broke up with dance and when you created Embodied where you weren't using your body for any of your work, your healing, all that sort of thing?
I was about to say yes, and then I realized no because I got right into yoga.
Yoga, yeah.
Um, but I will say that I turned off the engine of passion. Like music for me is everything. Like music can make us feel a certain way and like a heartbeat. And I stopped listening to music. Like I literally used to consume so much music. It was around me all of the time because it inspired me to create and to move, but I couldn't even listen to music because I didn't want to be reminded of my body wanting to move like a dancer. I needed to just like shut that off. So I would say like that part of my movement creative journey, definitely turned off. And it was years, honestly, that I had to do that before I could slowly like be re-inspired by music, moving my creative juices. But I think that like what you explained about like, oh, I'm embarrassed, I've been up here. But what I would say to that is that no, you just remembered. And that's like what I feel that this process is all about, is it's just like a remembering. You were in a visiting of a different gift of yours because that is also necessary. I took a similar path, right? I moved up into crown and channeling and energy readings and healings and stuff. And that had to open, I would say, so that I could experience movement from a more like spiritually grounded place. And so it's this process of just remembering, oh yeah, my body's here. And the fact that you're remembering it now is like in perfect time. Because to your
It
point,
is.
I mean, there's a lot of trauma to heal and process in your experience with movement. And so I think it always meets us at the perfect time. Our remembrance of the body being a gift and a tool and a partner, it finds us at the perfect time.
Well, thank you for like connecting me to that, because I have been on a bit of a journey with my body since moving to Greece. Doing some work on that, and yet still it was all work, like yes, feeling my body, but not through movement. And anyway, so I'm excited, and I'm excited to kind of marry these two.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do it through your Embodied app, which, by the way, everyone, Nikki has launched an Embodied app. Do you want to talk a little bit about the app?
Yeah. So the Embodied app came through out of nowhere, honestly, because I had already been running the classes and I knew that those were like in-person experiences that you're like touching, feeling inside of are super potent. We know that. Okay. So the classes were already happening. But then when I was in Minnesota last summer, I was like, oh, I can't like be with my people in Austin. So how can I create something that still connects people into their bodies? And, you know, I had been doing guided meditations and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh man, again, there's something missing here. Like what if there was movement? Because I think that sitting still, everybody needs to sit still in meditation. And sometimes we have energy to move. So it's like instead of shaming ourselves to always have to sit still, what if we opened our ability to move through the energy? Because then I think oftentimes when we move through our energy, we can sit still longer and more connectedly. So I just was like, okay, I'm going to just try on this 21-day series of moving meditations, all audio files. I don't want it to be focused on, am I doing this right? Follow along my moves, my body. I want it to be, listen to my cues, and you decide how your body interprets that. And so I created this whole 21-day series around connecting people deeper into like clarity and alignment. And people were just like, holy shit, this is a practice that I didn't know that I needed. It was a lot of like, I didn't know,
Ah.
they didn't know. But together I was realizing, oh, this too is embodied medicine and a different flavor of connecting people into that, into their body truth, their body wisdom. And so I did another series in the winter, same response. And I was like, listen, this is clearly something that people need. So I wanted to put it all in one place. So there's full embodied classes. There's both of my full 21-day series programs on there. And then there's also a library of a bunch of different moving meditations, anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, that are guided journeys, both in movement and in energetic guidance. And it's a new optimized way of connecting to your whole self, to the mental, the physical, the emotional, the energetic. So yeah, I find myself going in there often when I need to just like shake shit up, clear the noise, shift my energy state, or just like come back to self.
Yeah. And so for your clients who usually come to a live class versus taking on the Embodied app, how are they like, what's the contrast, or how does it differ for them?
It depends on the person. I would say like I've got quite a few moms that come to my embodied class in Austin and they can't make every single class, and they're realizing like this isn't just like a one hit wonder for me where I get to do it like once every couple weeks. Like I need this as a real practice and connection point in my life. And so I would say there's definitely two different camps of people who want to just like come get the quick hit and the like event experience. But then also the people that are like, no, this is something I want to adopt as a lifestyle, as a
It's the
practice,
Yeah.
as a consistent way of connecting into myself. So, yeah.
Yeah. And well, and there's something too, like being able to do something alone with no one else in the room, you know? And I
Yeah.
love the fact that it's audio because, you know, as a dancer, I immediately was like, where's the visual? Like, I will follow. Let me follow the teacher's cues. But it's been really nice to just listen to the audio and just let my body create what it's going to create.
Yeah.
And on that note, do you have folks who struggle with, the way they look in class? Like, you know, even if you didn't grow up a dancer, let's say you take a yoga class, you take in anything, we're all pretty obsessed with doing things the right way and it looking good and all that sort of thing. Is that something that comes up a lot?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So at the beginning of every single class, I have like a full on conversation with them, just like setting the tone, because there's also mirrors in the room. And so I oftentimes just like speak into the mirror. Like, if this is a place where you go to judge or criticize yourself, invite yourself to either A, rewrite that narrative and stare into yourself and try to find something that you feel proud of, or soften your gaze, look somewhere else. But if you notice yourself coming into an old thought pattern, let that be your disruptor. And I also like really speak into like, listen, I'm doing stuff up here. You never have to follow what I'm doing. You can always do whatever you want. And if something feels better at a different pace or whatever, you have full permission. So I'm setting the tone immediately at the beginning of class, letting them know this isn't about being on the beat, looking cool, whatever. This is truly about just allowing yourself to be. And I think what's really powerful is that you can feel and sense when people around you are letting go and letting themselves just be fully seen and fully themselves. And so it invites and gives permission to other people to do that. And so I've just noticed and witnessed, because we have like a little circle share at the end of every class, how many people say like, I couldn't have done this class without the people in the room, because I could feel them also just putting their walls down. And, you know, I think a lot of people have to rewrite the narrative of, am I doing it right? But I think that like calling out, that's an opportunity, a disruptive moment in your mind to say, that's not what this is about. And very frequently they say that they're able to rewrite that. So it's a practice, of course, like it's a practice to keep coming back to, but I think that giving people permission immediately just softens the experience.
I just like made this connection of like, so we do a lot of like subconscious work. I do a lot of that with clients. We talk about it a lot on the podcast. And the body is the subconscious, is part of the subconscious in a lot of ways. And so I'm realizing that by someone coming, especially repeating the class, they're going to reprogram. So for example, if we took the belief like I have to do it right, and then they come and they like move into that not being true, it's another form of subconscious reprogramming.
For sure. For sure. And to feel it on like a visceral level is also like, hate to use this like jargon, but it's like a collapsing of time where it's not just like, it's not processed here and then eventually has to be discovered here. It's being processed and felt in the same time. So it's just happening faster. Yeah.
Frick. Powerful. Amazing. Okay. So you put, not only have you created this beautiful medicine, but now you've created an app so everyone can try it wherever they are. Everyone can create a practice around it. How do you feel? Like this app dropped a couple weeks ago, yes? How do you feel?
Yeah, it's honestly pretty surreal. My journey to creating this was, as always, very colorful and nothing like I thought. I had projected to launch the app in March, but I had like a really intense health episode happen in the end of January that just like pushed everything back. And honestly, I feel like I just put the app on the back burner. And then I don't even remember when it was, maybe April. I actually have to like credit the company that I'm using who does the back end of my app, because I had a meeting with this girl and she was like, Nikki, you just have to do this, this, and this, and it's going to be up. And it was almost this like, you're of course like, well, no shit. But the way that she said it made it feel like it's not that big of a deal, because it felt like this big, overwhelming, like you have so much to do. And it was a lot of work, I will not lie. But it just allowed for me to almost empower myself to say, okay, stand up, dust the dust off. You can do this. And I just had this internal fire lit and I'm like, let's fucking go. And so I just started working long days, long hours, creating a lot of content, spent a lot of time in Canva, like doing all of the back end. But it was so rewarding because it was like I was witnessing this massive dream all of a sudden become a tangible product. And so once I like finally like welcomed the world in, it felt really strange because I felt like in any big achievement, you think that it's going to be this like, oh my God, everything's amazing. And then it just feels almost like, I don't want to say quiet, because I feel like I got a lot of positive response, but just within yourself, it's just like, wait, I did that. Do I need to celebrate more? Am I not giving myself enough credit? What's going on?
Did I do a big enough launch? Like, what's happening inside me? Yeah.
Literally. And so I think that that's also when I witness like that is not what most of our missions are about. And it's like this is a long game where nothing is going to feel like this like quick hit, you're done. Yeah, getting there. It's actually just like okay, now I'm standing on this lily pad. And now I get to see all the other lily pads and I get to make my way to the next. And it's not to say that I'm not obviously proud of everything. It's just to say that like now I've expanded my body and my capacity into a person that just did that. So now I have like almost normalized and felt into my body, oh, I can hold that. I can do that. And so I'm like, and that is me. Great. So now it's just, yeah, it's a very weird process because I'm extremely proud and I'm just like, but of course I did that, you know?
Yeah. That's me. That's what I do. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, and and I think the beauty that I'm hearing underneath it, and that I know my audience needs to hear, is like there there is never a there. Like even when you get there, like my experience of changing my life and moving across the world, I got there, but
Yeah.
like at some point, in your life, you have to choose to be in your life and love it where it is. It's going to move. It's going to keep growing. It's going to keep changing. But if you're just waiting for there to be able to, whatever, celebrate, be happy, all these sorts of things, then you will be disappointed. So it's really just about like living where we are. And then when we're there, living where we are.
100%. Well, and I think that too is like such a call back, I mean, back into the body. Is it's like we are here in the present, in the now, in our physical form. The only place that we time travel to like here or there that is not here is in the mind, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like when we can tune into the physical sense and the emotional side of things, it's like it just allows for us to tap a little bit deeper into the, oh, I already am everything that I desire, and I already have everything that I need. Um, because it's a, belief also has to land in the body as a real true sense of like contentment.
Yeah. 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 Oh, I'm just realizing like you creating Embodied, but also living and doing Embodied made you be able to create Embodied. It's wonderful.
Well, and not to mention, like, I also had my first child during this whole process.
Oh,
So it's like
shit.
a
Of course you did.
whole different, yeah, of course. So it's a whole other like layer of, yeah, unlearning, relearning, connecting to the body, and just like life in general.
And your entire connection to your body probably changing. Did that happen?
For sure.
I'm not a mother,
Yeah.
so forgive my sort of naive questions, but for someone who is so in touch with their body, works with their body, teaches the body through the body, how was that transition for you from not being a mother to being a mother?
Yeah, it was really, I mean, it's like honestly very hard to even describe into words the transformation that happens because it is so human. Like, I feel like a lot of people that I've seen online talk about this spiritual sense of motherhood, and I have felt
Portal, yada
none of
yada. Yeah. Okay.
no, I have felt like my birth didn't feel spiritual, like becoming a mother didn't feel spiritual. It felt like truly the most human I've ever felt in my life, where the learnings were no longer about journaling and meditating and channeling and sensing. It was about just like literally being thrown into the deep end and trying to figure it out and messing up and being so utterly exhausted that you have no idea. Like it's like so human that I almost feel like it was the wake up call that I needed to every point that we were saying, where it forces you to be so present and responsive to your sense of like, I can go research 8,000 different things, but the only way that I'm actually going to give my child like what he needs is through listening to myself and like what I'm feeling. And so it was like a whole new layer of listening and being okay with being in my human experience and not like leaving to go to more spiritual practices.
Right.
Because that's the real teacher, is just like, okay, now it's human time.
Right, which is what we're here to
School's in
do.
session.
Yeah.
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 Oh, wow. Okay. Of course, this happened all together.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be any other way.
Of
Okay.
course.
I have a question. There was a post that you did the other day that, you know, showed up in my algorithm. I feel like I was meant to see it. And you were talking about how you've returned to dance recently. So I'd like to hear about that and like the experience of what came up in the room.
Yeah. So I helped build this professional dance company like 12 years ago in Minneapolis. And it was like one of my favorite dance experiences to date because it was like self-run by a bunch of friends essentially, and we got to create these you know, full spectrum shows, perform them in a real theater. It was just like such a beautiful front to finish, creative, collaborative experience. And I have like longed for that since I left because I just was like, that was such a precious, memory I had of dance. And so every summer that I've come back to live with my parents, which is like the last 5 years, I've just like tapped in with my friend who still runs the company. I'm like, you guys just like potentially have a show when I'm home, And it's never lined up until this summer, which I find, of course, divine. I feel like this makes total sense for just like where I'm at. I'm at a place where I think my body is ready to step back in. Right.
Certainly.
And so
Yes.
last Sunday, I stepped back into my first rehearsal and it was like so wild because it was nostalgic, but it was also just so loud. Like all of my triggers were in the room with me. And I could sense like in ways that I wanted to just like resort to old ways of thinking or reacting or being in the space or even relating to the space and like how I'm processing things. And I just had this ability to separate and just see them as like not identity me, but just like separate of me. And so I just allowed myself in this first rehearsal to let all the triggers be in the room, not try to change them, not try to shift them, but just let them be there. Because the more times that I show up in this room, the more opportunities I'm going to get to rewrite, respond differently, and eventually they'll leave. But it was so beautiful to see myself have the strength and the space to just separate, because I think that that's the biggest step of all in any sort of inner self work, is to like disidentify with that inner critic voice being you, right? And so
like you can be with something, not rather than in or of something.
Totally. Yeah. And so everybody, it's just such an interesting dynamic because everybody is like, most people are much younger and have been just dedicated to dance, and I'm coming in having had this like massive hiatus. I have a child. I like run a business and that is not like specific to the dance community, and I'm coming in and I'm just like, okay, here we go. Because part of me is like, oh, what did I set myself up for? Like, I am not cut out for this. And another part of me is also like, oh my God, you've still got it. Like, you've still got that heart and that connection to this, and you can totally hang with in this room. So it's been like such an interesting, and this was just after rehearsal 1. So I'll let you know how it goes continuously, but it's truly been, I can already tell what a potent healing journey it already is for me.
Oh yeah, and like you have tools, like and those that you've created / clearly created with divine support, and it'll be kind of like wow, what a real way to put all that you've learned and embodied to the test, so to speak, right? Because maybe it's comfortable to do it in like a comfy room where everyone accepts you, but how does it feel in a room where everyone's analyzing your every move? Not to say that that's what your company's doing, but.
Well, no, because I think that it's like, it's a sense of, I mean, they don't know how I dance or how I move, and I'm kind of had this energy of like, oh, I still want to prove myself, and I'm just like, but that is not what this gets to be about. This gets to be about being back in my body in a very specific way, and I get to perform like I haven't performed in like probably 8 years, and so it's gonna be, I think, really special as long as I can keep that intention of why I'm here. It's not to be like, look at her, she's still a good dancer, she can still do all this stuff. It's how beautiful I get to return to this and feel like it gets to be for my soul and nothing else.
Oh, and just imagine how different how different performing will feel if you approach it from that place. Like, it's gonna probably take you back to little Nikki before all that trauma got. Oh, it's gonna be really beautiful.
I know.
I feel very inspired.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm excited. I'm nervous. Like, I'm candidly I'm nervous, but I also think that it's gonna just be like the most beautiful homecoming.
Yeah, it's very full circle.
Full circle.
Full circle. Oh, well, thank you for sharing your full circle with us. And I hope, those of you listening can see, because when you're in it, it's hard to be like, oh, there's this is taking me to where I need to go, and I have to live this part. Because when you're in it, you're like, get me out of this part. I'm doing things wrong, whatever. And I think that the full circle of your story really shows how one thing led to the next. And I certainly feel the same with all my different career paths and different places that I've gone. And it keeps building, right? It keeps building us to the next part that we are stepping into and becoming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so if you could share one thing about either your journey or your practice with Embodied that listeners need to hear, what would it be?
Oh, let's see. What do I want to share? I just feel like from my story to the practices that I teach, your body already knows exactly what you need to do. Like, there is no extra information you need to find. There is no extra certificate that you need. Sometimes you just need some space to feel and to listen. I think we credit a lot of our evolution to education in our evolution. And of course, I think that is an important part of our evolution and expansion, is to learn and to grow and to educate. But I think that we very quickly lose sight of our own inner connection, our own inner knowledge, and where truth actually sources from. Because there could be information that we're taking in, but the truth of the matter is always sourced from within, even for how we relate into any information that we take in. And so I would just say, like, you already know everything that you're questioning. You already know what you need to do next. You already know what you need to let go of. It's just a matter of giving yourself the space to listen.
Beautiful. Thank you. And thank you for reconnecting all of us to our bodies, myself included. I'm very excited for just coming back to the body and movement with everything that I have now to support me. And who knows, maybe I'll step into a dance class. Don't know. We'll see. I'll let you know.
Baby steps. Baby steps.
And how do people take an embodied class? Let's just make that super clear.
Yeah, so just on my website, embodied.com, but embodied is spelled with a Y, like body. And that will take you to essentially my homepage, and then my app, or the desktop version, and you get 14 days free inside of the app, which is a pretty long time to take a bunch of classes, try on the meditations and stuff. But I've got a ton of different embodied classes inside of that, and it's also enough time for you to do almost all of a 21-day series as well. So that's where everything is. And I also hang out on Instagram and sometimes TikTok for some of the just behind the scenes, me and my life kind of stuff. But that's typically where you can find me.
And if someone wanted a live class, that's Austin only?
I've been on tour. I'm just kidding. No, but I am truly so open to popping up wherever there is a need and desire. I'm also pretty much hosting a class anywhere that I'm randomly traveling to elsewhere. So,
Smart.
like I did a Chicago pop-up recently. I'm doing one in Minneapolis. I have plans to do one in potentially San Diego and LA in October. If I've got any Seattle friends, I'm going there in October. So it's really just like I'm open,
Yeah.
and I'm also traveling. So I want to be in person in more places because I do think it's like a really special way to experience it, beyond the app.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. It was great to meet you and get to know you beyond social media. And yeah, there were just so many parts about your story that my own story, reflect and resonate with. So thank you for sharing your journey and getting to know Spirit Club.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Okay, everybody, until next time.